Hello and welcome back to the channel. It's the Evesham Gamer with something a little bit different for a change. I didn't actually see this one coming, to be perfectly honest with you, but it's a few items that are very retro. I think you'll agree, and it's not video games either. Well, it's partially video games anyway. A couple of items of video games. So basically, I've got not much of this stuff, but the bits I have got are very nostalgic to me. And one in particular I'm going to pay quite a bit of attention to in this video. So, I make sure I don't run over my cat. We've also had two new additions to the family. Two new little kittens to join Izzy, who was left after I lost my beloved Bindi back in January. And their names are Cookie and Luna. You won't see them on the video probably, maybe at some point, but that's for another story. So, what do we have here? Okay, so the first one. Yeah, well, it's a Coke can. You may have seen this or may not have seen it before, with a ring pull, and you pop it. There we go, the head comes out, and it's a transformer. These go for quite a few quid now. I mean, this was bought for me by my nan on a boot sale back in the 90s, I think, and I just had it ever since. And they go for a pretty penny these days. I saw a few of them over at Retro Sect in Tewkesbury the other week, or one or two of them in much better condition. But it's in good condition, it's just obviously very yellow. I don't think any Retro Bright's really going to help that, so that is what it is. It's a great little novelty item from the 80s, I believe, or very early 90s at least. Next one is the classic Solitaire. Grandstand Solitaire. I'm still trying to fix this because the buttons in there are a bit awkward. They're like these little bits of sellotape with metal on them. Yeah, it's but I remember my dad playing this particular device back when I was a kid, and I still love it as well. Although, as I say, I've changed some of the buttons because the batteries aren't working quite so well at the moment. So I'm pressing that, nothing's happening. But it's got a little timer there. I don't really know about the history of this, but I do know it's quite old. So yeah, it's a nice little thing to have. A little tiny little Majorette Ville de Paris. So it's a little Majorette dump truck, rubbish bin lorry, and I've had that since I was so young. It's probably the only little car I've still got left. So I treasure this with, you know, like this is probably one of my most favourite items that I've got, and it ain't ever going to go anywhere. Video game sort of stuff, so I haven't got the batteries in this at the moment, but Grandstand Scramble. This one I picked up off Gumtree? Yeah, Gumtree, many years ago, probably around about 2009. Some guy was selling loads of video games and stuff frequently, and this popped up, so I picked it up. Does works perfectly fine. Bit dirty, well, a bit scratched as well, but it works fine, and that's all you can really ask for, isn't it? An original Generation 1 Ultra Magnus of the Autobots, completely complete, everything. Tech spec still on here with the little red plastic film that you can see what levels and what powers they are for their strength, intelligence, firepower, that sort of thing. I bought this, actually this isn't my original one, but I bought this off on eBay in 2015. I think I paid about £50 for it at the time. I think a bit more now, more like closer to 100 maybe for a complete one. It's not immaculate. The box is a bit rough around the edges, but this has got an awful lot of sentimental to me and nostalgia, because I was bought this when one of these when I was a kid, and I fucking loved it, you know. And I appreciate my parents very much for being able to afford that at the time when money was tight for a lot of people. Yeah, love this, love it to bits. A little bit of yellow in there on the actual main robot, and if you didn't know, it's pretty much a recast of the original Optimus Prime minus the now what do they call it, die cast, I think, die cast metal. In here, I need to dust it off because he's been sitting up there in the back. Is an original Grandstand Firefox F7 with all the gubbins. I've got the bits of paperwork in there, as you can see, and she works really well. Very pleased with this one. Again, it's something that I had in my childhood and I thoroughly loved it, and I got very good at it. But you know, when you're a kid, you got small hands. So for the little joysticks on these and the buttons, it's pretty easy. But for an adult, these days it ain't so fucking easy. So now this leads me to these two items. Okay, the first one is the Tomy Verbot. Now I've had him since I was a kid. Okay, Verbot he's a bit yellow, to be perfectly honest with you. The controller could do a bit of a clean up, but he is boxed, and the ears haven't been too kind to his coloration. But I think, you know, there's maybe the motor's a bit. But the last time I used him about a couple of years ago, he was working fine. So as you can see, very yellow, but in very good condition as well, other than the yellowing. And Verbot was, you know, that I wanted a bigger one. I wanted a bigger robot, and unfortunately my parents couldn't afford one. Then when I get this one back on, then this turned up. This is a genuine 95 to 96% complete Tomy Omnibot from 1983 or 84, I think it is. Was 83, 84 was when the Tomy robot range come out. So you had, the biggest one was Omnibot 2000. Then there was Omnibot. I think there was one beneath it which I think was Verbot. And there was multiple other ones. There was Mr. DJ, there was Dingbot or Dingbat, I think it's Dingbot. There was one that looks like a cassette tape, one that's got like a round orb for a head and a face. There's a really good website that covers all of these Tomy robots. And I'll put a link in the description below to it, and it's fascinating. But these don't come cheap, depending on where you get them from and what condition they're in. But I've got a little story to tell. Okay, so we're going to take a little break for a second, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to have him out of the box, and I'm going to show you. He ain't working yet, because there's a few things I've got to test first, but I'm looking forward very much to getting this guy going, and believe you me, he is fantastic. So here's the interlude, and I'll show you in a second.
Omnibots are here.
Lunch? Sure, kid. Have your agent call my agent. Really?
And in the not-too-distant future, they'll be everywhere.
Howdy. How do?
Omnibot, the remote control, puts him in the palm of your hand, or you can program his onboard computer, and he'll act on cue, all by himself.
Hey, buddy, get rolling.
Omnibot, the state-of-the-fun robot from Tomy.
There you go, a little bit of history there for you from Tomy themselves. There'll be a link below to the original YouTube channel that actually showed that advert from the early 80s of Tomy robots. Now, here's my guy. This is Omnibot. Omnibot is, well, there's a second version of it as well, but I still think that the first one is the best. This one comes complete with a manual. I think this has got the front page missing, but it's got no information on the front page. So yes, it has, because it says number 3 at the bottom there. Nice to have the instructions. He comes with, which is quite often missing when you buy Omnibot, which is the tray. Now I'll show you how the tray goes on in a moment. It also comes with the battery charger, and it also comes with, what will be most important, the Omnibot remote control. Okay, now it's got a little joystick there, as you can see, and it's a nice little controller actually. There's a little bit of this piece here you need to see peeling off. I think I can sort that quite easily, but the device is in really good condition. The only issue that's with the controller is, I'm going to take this off and just take these out. If you can see that, there's a lot of corrosion on the battery contacts, and also, can you see that? If I can get that there, they're broken as well. That's not difficult to fix. I can do that. So I've had it open to have a little look. Whether some of the other resistors and stuff inside this are damaged, we won't know until I've fixed it, until I've replaced the battery contacts. So I just mentioned, didn't I? Comes charger. So let's take a look at the robot himself, and he's a bit of a beast, I tell you. So you can see you've got an aerial here, obviously. As an LCD display, I've tested this and that works. But look, I've got to press that first. Full cassette player in here. Now, I don't know if they actually came with one, but my understanding is they did. There used to be like a demo tape that you would put in here, which did basically the sounds that they're effectively, how this is commanded is through sounds. So you would record this tape would make him, I don't know, go left then right then turn in a circle and whatever automatically. But you can program him to do different things. So to bring you a drink, well, not necessarily he's going to get one out of the fridge for you and open it for you, or pour a glass of water. It doesn't happen like that, but he can, if you just get him to program different things. It's a lot of hard work, but in the mid early 80s, this was the latest tech. Okay, in today's money, this robot, if you were to buy it now, if it was just released, would be around about £600 to £800. He was released for $250 back in 1983-84. So let's say about £230, £250 in the UK. So it equivalates to around about £800, something like that, £700-800. This one, what's unique about this particular robot is that his wheels here, the rubber has not deteriorated at all. I don't think he was used very much. It's very clean. I'm not going to open the back, but because I haven't got a screwdriver with me. But on the back here, inside, you have a little. Oh, stop that rattling. There's 2 AA batteries for the LCD display, and then there's a 9 volt. Is it 9? No, 6 volt, 4 amp battery, which is about the size of about a little bit bigger than a Coke can. The original battery is in there. There's hardly any corrosion on where the AA batteries go, and there's no dirt in there whatsoever. So I just need to get a new battery for him. But he is in incredibly good condition, and I'm very pleased to have him. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to sell him or not. I'm got to get him working first. But I can show you the tray. So I'm going to pull his arms out a bit. And the tray just sits nicely. Was it that way? I think it was that way. Like so. There you go. There he is with his nice tray, his dinner tray, and you put your drinks in there. And so how did I get him? Well, actually a big shout out again to my mate DW. Now, we were talking about Tomy robots the other week when I was around his house, when he very kindly gave me that Nintendo 64 and the games with it. We were talking about Tomy robots, and then on the Saturday following that, he was at a boot sale in Cheltenham, and he sent me a picture of this Omnibot. He said, I would buy it, but I ain't got the money. I said, well, neither have I. But anyway, bloke wanted 80 quid for him. So, short story short, I got the number off of that guy at the boot sale via Dave. I then went over to this guy's land. He's got quite a lot of land over at near Gloucester. Out to you. I'm going to call you Omnibot guy, because even if I mention your first name, I'm not going to say, because the reason why I'm not going to say any more than that is because he has more robots. And when he digs them out, he's going to give me a call. But it ain't just robots. He said to me that he quite often gets a lot of retro video games, and he doesn't post them on eBay. He's like an old school guy. He only does things at boot sales and that. And he said no one ever asks me for them, so I generally just bin them. So I could be getting a fair amount of stuff soon. So and based on this guy, well, I'm very chuffed, and a big shout out to Mr. Omnibot guy. Thank you so much. He's probably not. He doesn't watch us, I don't believe. But there you go. I've got myself an Omnibot, and I've wanted one of these since I was a kid.